Lightsworn is a deck that has been around for a very, very long time, and today I wanted to talk about what we need to do to bring Lightsworn up to interesting standards at this point in time. Back to 30% of you guys have not smashed the living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so we can get further into 100,000 here. So LDS on stream mentioned and requested me to make a video here on Lightsworn, and I honestly, I've thought about Lightsworn because honestly the deck is almost at, should be actually near full power at this point in time for the deck that ran through the early 2009 through like 2010 here. Charge of the Light Brigade was such a crazy card in those days. Even with the release of Absolute Zero being one of these crazy cards to kind of counteract the deck, it didn't do enough because one Judgment Dragon had the chance to clear it off. So now throughout the years, we've been getting pieces of this deck back, and honestly, the deck was just very good at being a splashable engine, because Charge of the Light Brigade gave you access to basically milling your deck. Honestly, when you have a deck whose entire purpose is basically milling itself off to kind of create this resource pool, it almost reminds you of Dredge from Magic, where your graveyard is your hand. Now, throughout time here, Yu-Gi-Oh! Hasn't had a lot of good interaction points with things from the graveyard. Obviously, like Plague Spreader, Zombie, Necro Gardener, these were good things from back in their day. You might remember Globe Bulb also, Spore, little things like that could, generate effects. But now that Yu-Gi-Oh! Has kind of sped up throughout the years here, what more do we need to give Lightsworn to kind of do its thing? Because with the release of, well, the bad Lightsworn archetype, where you started the interaction points with like Punishment Dragon, where they wanted you to use your remove from game pile as an additional thing, and that didn't work out so well. Konami's approach was, we want to make the Twilight Sworn here. We want to bring back that feeling of using your banish pile and things like that, but that was a total flopperoo. You guys seen how well that went. So here's the thing: when you look at Lightsworn as a deck, once again, you got to re-emphasize the fact here that decks that want to generate some sort of graveyard advantage here would be really good. I've noticed one thing with Yu-Gi-Oh! I just want to plug this into like a sub thing here. We could use some generic cards here that, say, if you have 10 cards in your graveyard, for example, we have Blasting the Ruins, I think what makes a reference to like 30 cards in the graveyard. But if we made more generic cards that, say, something like Lightsworn could easily access, I think that would be good. Now, one of the things I thought about for Lightsworn, I sat down hard and long for this. I was like, what do we need to give Lightsworn, kind of make them a little bit better? Because the deck has some excellent tools. Lumina being able to revive a Gareth to get draw power, but the problem is it's going to take an entire turn to kind of set up. So the first thing I was wondering here was, do we need to give this deck almost Snake Rain level support? Now, when I say Snake Rain level support, Snake Rain is that card that gives you the ability to discard 1, send 4 reptiles from your deck to the graveyard. Well, what if we wanted to kind of streamline the approach here? What if we gave them a card that said, on activation, you could send up to 4 different named Lightsworn monsters from your deck to the graveyard? Now, the first thing you're going to be like is, well, Robbie, you're going to have to make that a cost, right? You're going to have to make them discard 1 to kind of achieve that result. And I was like, I don't know if we really need to give them that. If we slap it on a once per turn, give them the ability to just send 4 Lightsworns with different names, okay, congratulations, they get to put a wolf on the field. You're already playing Lightsworn, you already are playing bricks in your deck, ladies and gentlemen, and unfortunately, because you're playing those bricks, you've got a lot of other issues. So honestly, making a spell card that specifically just says send 4 different Lightsworn monsters from the deck to the graveyard, I would almost be like up to not even put a discard on that. Yes, I know that can put lights and darks into the graveyard and streamline some chaos support there, but I feel like if you put, I really wanted the card to be able to search Judgment Dragon as well, but I feel like that's too much at the end of the day. If you make literally a spell card that says dump 4, search Judgment Dragon, you're doing too much. So honestly, I think the first thing would be giving Lightsworn an easier ability to honestly just establish a wolf and get some other pieces into the graveyard, because the deck needs to be able to streamline JD. Now, the problem with this is, well, you still got to see Judgment Dragon in your opening hand. Obviously, Charge of the Light Brigade can get you to Illumina so you can revive some stuff. But the thing is, I don't think that an effect like that is too devastating. Now, when you look at like the rest of the Lightsworn engine, you almost have to kind of overhaul the archetype unless, you look beyond the thing. Because like I said, Lumina's reviving is the key thing here. Ferris being sent by a monster effect is also really good. And then Wolf. I would consider these three, well, and obviously Raiden was like a mill 4. Raiden was good because he was a tuner as well. So you have 4, I would say, acceptable Lightsworns within the thing. So if we give them a spell card, mill 4, and then just on activation once per turn, I think that's fine, ladies and gentlemen, because as long as it's 4 different names, only one wolf's going to come out, and then at that point in time, you're like, well, cool, so they can basically just normal summon another one and put Minerva on the field and go from there. Now, do we need to make new Lightsworns themselves? The answer is yes, but I don't know to what effect do we really need to give this deck. Obviously, they are from an old enough era, ladies and gentlemen, where you could see, a Lightsworn on summon, giving you the ability to revive something else from the graveyard. Giving you the ability to bring a friend back, I think would be a really good thing. Just on a normal or special summon, oh, okay, I can revive a Lightsworn from the graveyard. That would be excellent in my opinion. All right, ladies and gentlemen, but at the end of the day here, to what extent is that needed? I think that would bring them up to more modernized standards, ladies and gentlemen. The fact that, okay, that's fine. So basically, in a smaller vacuum here, the ability to have more specific dumping, because once again, one of the things that really hurt this deck was the randomization effect. And I think that was fine in early 2009, 2010s here, where, more random milling was what you were kind of given. But now that you've got 12 years of power creep on this deck, where, you have the baby Chaos Dragons and things like that, that's fine. I think more effects based via graveyard shenanigans here, where you can basically have more selective effects that I would be deemed more powerful, ladies and gentlemen, would be good. And I referenced that at the beginning of the video. Like if you got 10 cards in the graveyard, you can go ahead and apply a certain effect. And I think that would be a good thing. But as of making this selective milling, big thing here, honestly, a tuner monster that could revive something from the graveyard would be frickin' fantastic, ladies and gentlemen. But those are just a couple of the things that we need to kind of step on up here. Maybe, I almost want to say, maybe a spell card that could trigger the effects of the Lightsworn mills during the main phase. Because all the Lightsworns have that maintenance cost via end phase that really made them good. Now, what if we made an effect that would let you trigger that during the main phase? I feel like that'd be an interesting thing. You can pay all of your Lightsworn maintenance cost during the main phase. That opens up some interesting plays for milling options, ladies and gentlemen. And honestly, there's a lot of cool things you can kind of explore with Lightsworns, but Lightsworns are an archetype that I think Konami almost deems complete at this point in time. So you've got to be very careful what you give to a deck like this. All right, you can't overload it with too many new things, unless you want to create an entirely new subsection like they try to do with the Twilight Sworns. And look at that absolute failure that went. So at this point in time, that is honestly what I would consider the right step in the right direction for Lightsworn. There's all sorts of cool ideas, but like I said, unless you're going to like create this entire new vacuum of Lightsworns and do all of this other cool, crazy stuff, ladies and gentlemen, I don't particularly think that that's the right step for Konami at this point in time. So, what do you want to give to Lightsworns? Maybe searching for Judgment Dragon a little bit easier could be a good thing. Maybe there is a way to, expand on these particular things and, streamline these things just a little bit better. But that's a discussion for another day, ladies and gentlemen. So, comment down below, tell me what you guys think. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button, and I will see your beautiful faces back here later on the day with some more cool ass content. Peace out, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.